Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Bracket Show. I am your host, Jacob. Taylor, how are you?
I'm good, I think. I mean, listen. The high point has definitely been the Olympics. Like, we've gotten to the point where the Olympics are winding down, and I'm going to go into that, like, post-Olympics slump where it's like, what am I supposed to do now? I can't just turn on the TV and have a live feed of, like, all the greatest athletes in the world just doing all kinds of random shit. Like, that's the best time where you just turn on and go, I didn't even know that this was a sport you could do, and these people are great at it. And I feel so inadequate about my whole life. And then you watch the sports you do like, and you're like, wow, that was great. And then the commentators are like, that was a devastating performance. And it's the great time, Like, so I'm just basking in the last little glow of it before I go into the slump. But then I entertain myself when I think about how LA is going to be a fucking mess because they're like, you can only reach the games via public transport. We're going to do a no car system. I'm like, have you seen LA? What does that even mean? What does that mean? How is that going to work in LA? Are none of the athletes going to show up? Like, what? So anyway, I'm like in the mode of like mentally preparing for that chaos where the whole world is going to look at us and be like, what the fuck is this? What is this? So that's how I am. That's where I'm at currently. Also USA.
Yeah.
Mara, how are you?
I took some medicine. Just don't tell my nephrologist that it was ibuprofen and not acetaminophen because ibuprofen works better. And I mean, do you really need your kidneys?
God.
Debatable.
Mara.
I cannot stand having a headache. I would rather be nauseated. I would rather have diarrhea. I would rather, I hate vomiting. It's the worst sensation on the entire planet. I just hate having a headache. It's a pain that I cannot stand. I need to not have a headache when I have a headache. So we took ibuprofen and don't tattle. Don't tattle.
Fair.
Yeah, Jacob.
Bitches.
How are you guys, Adam, Marisol?
We are not paging Mara's doctor. That is definitely.
We're not. We ain't no snitches.
We are abstaining
we ain't no snitches.
from that kind of behavior.
That's usually my totes besties.
I would not take ibuprofen either, Mar, because I am alas allergic. So I am joining you in Solitaria.
When we first started seeing each other, I was like, okay,
acetaminophen strong.
I'm allergic to aspirin, so I can't take aspirin.
Oh,
yeah, no aspirin here.
Same, no NSAIDs. But yeah, we're doing good. Yeah, USA, all the way. Yeah, Taylor, I echo everything you said. Riding high and dreading the post Olympic postpartum depression, whatever. Like it's about to settle in. Because it is, and it's gonna be real. I agree with everything you're saying about that. I hadn't even thought about LA though yet. Yeah, it's gonna be a mess. But no, let us enjoy this little afterglow while we can of the Paris 2024 Olympics. Go USA. Go Simone Biles. Go Sydney McLaughlin. Go Gabby Thomas. Go everybody. You're all amazing.
One big positive is we're 3 weeks from football. We're
True.
3 weeks from football. Football is almost back, guys. I mean, preseason was on today, and I watched some preseason games because I am that desperate for football.
Ooh, I was thinking about in a couple of weeks, there's a preseason Chargers-Cowboys game, and I was thinking I might go.
Ooh.
That would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, I would sit in the nosebleeds because that would be the way I would afford to go, but I'd still go.
Preseason's pretty cheap. Preseason's generally pretty. Oh, actually,
AT&T.
it's the Cowboys.
At AT&T,
right, it's the
probably
Cowboys.
not.
Yeah, it's still the Cowboys.
Nosebleeds are still like $100.
Oh my god,
Uh,
they're $6 at
Cardinals
at
at State
Cardinals.
Farm?
If you want to go to State Farm,
$6 State Farm Stadium Day.
If you do standing room, they're cheap, but this bitch does not do standing room.
Valid.
It's a racket. It's a racket. Watch
To be fair, though, that's probably the only stadium here right now you can get into for $6.
Yeah, everyone else is
Everyone else,
well.
by some miracle, is playing somewhat.
Out of the 3.
That's what I like. That's what I mean. Like, damn. Anyway.
All right, Adam.
Yeah, look, I am just this lady here has me in concert mode this summer. We are doing all the concerts. She's keeping me so hip and young. We saw Fits in the Tantrums and
OAR.
well,
For all the young, for all
that
the
actually
young-
no, that dates us,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
dates us.
Yeah.
But no, we're gonna go see
There was nobody under 35 at that concert.
in one weekend. We're gonna see Lindsay Sterling because my daughter's really into her. But I'm actually that's gonna be a fun show. And then we're going to Lake Street Dive and Hans Zimmer in September.
That's a
Nice.
great show.
It's a great show.
Hans Zimmer's coming to the States, and we got
Yeah.
tickets. And we
I've done
are
that twice. It's great.
yes.
I'm ready for him to get out there and shred on his guitar.
Oh, yeah.
That's the part I'm most excited about.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, just living life.
We got
Ready to be gutted.
We've
That's
got Green
our
Day
experience
in
as usual.
Yeah,
month.
Green Day and Smashing Pumpkins in like a month, so that's gonna
Hey.
be fun.
That'll be fun.
Well,
That's also my job, by the way, is to keep him musically inclined
count-
and updated.
I
and
can count on my hands how many concerts I've been to. So
it makes me violently ill to think about how many concerts he hasn't been to. So we're fixing
Jacob,
that.
how many
slowly.
times have you seen Men at Work? Be honest.
never.
You call yourself a patriot.
All right, let's start with our first matchup.
Oh God.
All right.
You Were Never Really Here versus The Lighthouse.
Ooh.
Adam, I'm going to start with you on this one.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, I'm not mad at these movies lining up at this point in the bracket, Jacob. At this point in the bracket. Okay? That's fine. We've gotten there. They've both lasted a few rounds. What I love about both of these movies is how just askew they are. They both operate outside of convention in every way that possible. I do think You Were Never Really Here for me it's my favorite film I've seen from Lynn Ramsey so far. We need to talk about Kevin, and I think it's solid in a lot of ways, but I think You Were Never Really Here exceeds it in every measure. And the reason I feel that way is because it's a movie that when you start, you're like, oh, is this a badass vigilante revenge, whatever? And no, it's not. It's very it's about this deterioration of this guy's mental state. And I said this the first couple times we discussed it. I think it is the better version of Todd Phillips' Joker movie. I think it's just a coincidence that Joaquin's in both movies. I think what it does so well is it never loses sight of the tragedy of what this guy is doing, even though like we're kind of rooting for him because we're not rooting for the guys he's going after, but it's such ugly work. It's not victorious in any way. We're not watching Dexter with this movie at all. And I really like that about it. And I really think Lynn Ramsey, from what I've seen of her so far, what she does so well is takes these male protagonists, really picks them apart. And I mean, Tilda Swinton's arguably the protagonist we need to talk about, Kevin, to be fair. But the way she's just dealing with everything in that story. Going over to The Lighthouse, though, I mean, we're talking about literally one of my favorite films of the 21st century, and I'm not exaggerating. I think it's my favorite film so far of Robert Eggers. I am so excited about Nosferatu. I am so excited. It's just like easily at this point, it's probably my most anticipated film of the year. I've been waiting for him to do this movie for a while. I'm even more excited about it because he took time to do The Northman first, and he didn't rush into this right after The Lighthouse. I'm just so thrilled. But to focus on The Lighthouse, I love how it deals with toxic masculinity. I love how it deals with phallic symbols aggressively. And it was nominated for best cinematography for good reason. It's one of the most beautifully shot films of the 2010s, of the 21st century. The score is amazing and nightmarish and terrifying. It's one of my favorite movies that we're talking about in this bracket. So I'm going to vote for it. Thank you for letting me speak.
Taylor?
Yeah, this is an interesting matchup for me because I don't necessarily think that I like The Lighthouse, but it's a movie I think about a lot. Like, it's one of those movies where I didn't walk out of the theater going, wow, I really enjoyed that, but like I think about it. So I think that I appreciate it more than I enjoy it. Whereas with The Northman, I didn't appreciate it or enjoy it. So at least with The Lighthouse, I was like, like I get it, like to some extent. I really enjoyed the cinematography and the lighting choices and just the way it was directed. Like, there's a lot about The Lighthouse that like I think about, performances as well. So that's like, it's tough for me to kind of like judge it because of that, I guess. You Were Never Really Here is one that I watched for this bracket. Finally, I'd had it on my list for a long time. I finally watched it, and it is definitely the better Joaquin Phoenix version of the Joker, which somehow the Joker is apparently the pinnacle of his everything, which is disgusting. But anyway, like it's this is like the performance we should be talking about from him in that vein of that kind of movie. And it's a really arresting movie. Like, it's very edge of your seat kind of stuff, but not in like a gimmicky way. It's very compelling. And it's a really cool character study as well. So this is a tough one for me. Because I do think they both really have something to say and something to contribute, and I think they're both really well made. So that's kind of why it's tough for me, because I'm not sitting here kind of going, oh, like I love this one, but I love this one. I just really appreciate both of them more than anything. It's tough, but I think I'm gonna have to go with You Were Never Really Here.
Okay. Mara?
This one is really tough. Like, they both have so many merits that everyone's brought up. Like, they both have incredibly compelling performances, and they're both really well shot in their own ways. Obviously, one having a different degree of difficulty just with the stylistic choice of being in black and white. But man, I love Adam's comparison of like the good version of Joker, because it's so appropriate. Especially because I went into that with not really like no expectations, but just kind of like no like awareness per se about like, oh, this is going to be so great and this is what it's about. And that's definitely my kind of movie. Plus, I feel like it has the right level of violence also, because it's super easy for the violence to get like gratuitous, which can sometimes work if there's a reason, but sometimes it doesn't. But man, the Lighthouse just tackles such serious themes, and man, the performances are fantastic. And again, just the degree of difficulty of filmmaking. Like, I love, did you see the little thing it was going around on social, especially when they were doing their cinematography campaign of like them in their real clothes in real life, so we could see them in color, in order for them to distinguish themselves appropriately in black and white. I love that stuff because they looked so ridiculous. They looked like Mario and Luigi. These adorbs. And this is really, really hard because I struggle with the amazing performance in You Were Never Really Here and it being the better version of Joker. And I wish it were rewarded for that, because then maybe we wouldn't have rewarded Joker with as much praise as a film wholesale, rather than just, Joaquin being great at being an actor and stuff now. But The Lighthouse as a fully formed picture, completely and totally, is just so breathtaking that I do think I'm going to throw my vote there. But this is maybe one of the votes truly that has not a single loser, and it's sad that one of them has to go.
All right. Marisol?
Yeah. I can't disagree with anything that everybody's been saying. These are special movies. Lynn Ramsey is, I think, I salivate every time I hear she's making a movie. Ratcatcher. we need to talk about Kevin both searing. I'm going to say this. I'm going to just come right out and say this. You Were Never Really Here. I meant to rewatch this for the bracket because it didn't quite quite grip me the way her other films have. I've only seen it once. And it didn't quite grip me. I found, and it was separating the parts from it. Like I love Joaquin's performance. I think it's absolutely one of his strongest. I think The Master is his strongest performance of the 2010s. And then You Were Never Really Here, both above him and Joker. But that's another conversation. But I think he is just such an anchor here. And I think when I saw You Were Never Really Here, so I'm just going to talk about when I saw it the first time. I think maybe what I think the abstract nature of it, the haziness of it, I think maybe I was not quite in the right headspace. I do absolutely adore how little dialogue it is, how nonverbal his performance is, and how primal kind of the beat, the feeling, the pulse of that movie is, almost like operating on nerve through so much of it. I think that's lends to a lot of power in it. And if you've ever enjoyed, Leon the Professional, like Man on Fire, even The Equalizer, like more recently, like it has all kind of those elements of, this lone killer, this lone wolf becoming very protective of a young innocent woman, which is something which is a trope you see again and again and again, but it's in such a really messy, eerie, quiet, unnerving, female-led, female-driven, female storyteller way, and You Were Never Really Here, which I do think is special. I do need to rewatch this movie again. And I really wish I had before the bracket, because I think I might be able to talk about it a little more measured, because I am going to pick The Lighthouse, because I did rewatch that for the bracket. So maybe it just comes down to that. And my opinion of this movie went up so high on a rewatch. And I feel like that might have happened if I rewatched You Were Never Really Here. But I rewatched The Lighthouse, and I think I agree with everything you guys are all saying about it. I think it is just too stylized, too focused, too pitch perfect performances, pulling the best from an actor that we know we can do it, and pulling the best from an actor I think a lot of us didn't realize could go to this depth and reach this kind of place. I think about how much this is a living nightmare. And I think about how hypnotic that is. I am going to vote for it. I am going to really watch You Were Never Really Here again, though, after this, because I feel a little bad. But I'm going to stick to my guns and vote for The Lighthouse. But I wonder now. I wonder if I rewatched it. I wonder if I had rewatched it, I probably would have voted. I might have voted for You Never Really Here.
No, you still would have voted for your goddamn farts.
I know. No.
All right. Well, I would have voted for You Were Never Really Here, just because I'm not a big fan of The Lighthouse. But
we're gonna win you over someday.
I know. It's funny. So Robert Eggers is a director who's I've not particularly liked any of his movies. However, I'm beyond excited for Nosferatu, and I can't explain why. Like it's one of those weird ones where every single movie he makes, no matter what, I'm there, because it's at least visually stunning, and they're at least they're unique and different enough where it's like I will go see this even if it doesn't work for me. Mm-hmm. I'm there. So yeah. All right. Well, with that, The Lighthouse moves.
What are the chances we could do a 1920s bracket? I'm just putting it out there. I think it really, really
might do that as a one-off, because I don't think I have 256.
No, that bracket show would last one stream.
Be 16 movies. Yes. All right. With that, The Lighthouse does move on to the next round. Next up, Ingrid Goes West versus Snowpiercer. Taylor, kick us off.
Great. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Right. Not really sure how to approach this one specifically. yeah, I don't even know how to like start breaking this down. So Ingrid Goes West is a movie that I really enjoy. I kind of just watched it on a whim when it came out because I was excited about seeing Aubrey Plaza and Elizabeth Olsen together. And it does not disappoint. It is a great movie with a great ensemble that I think is very unlike anything else that was coming out at the time and that I've really seen since. And Snowpiercer is just so completely different in every way. Again, it's a great ensemble film that also, I guess, does deal with, they both do deal with kind of the perils of humanity in different ways. So there's that, at least, I guess, that I can kind of use as a touchstone. Problem here is I don't really think I'm going to be able to talk myself into an answer necessarily. So I'm just going for vibes here, and we're going to go with Ingrid Goes West.
Mara?
Oh, this one is so tough. I love Ingrid Goes West. Aubrey Plaza is my spirit animal. And I love how uncomfortable this movie makes me. It's just the right kind of uncomfortable. I think it was ahead of its time in terms of like how it talks about the parasocial relationship because it existed online, but we weren't really talking about it enough yet. Like I think maybe there were some people like influencers that were experiencing it, but it wasn't like a part of the consciousness or the conversation, especially on the part of the viewer and like the content consumer, just maybe the content creator, and how dangerous that can sometimes be. But man, Snowpiercer, again, I just love director Bong. I love complex themes. I love how it looks. I love Chris Evans getting a chance to like act and do something that's like not a man throwing a shield that defies laws of physics, which much though I do enjoy that, it is really refreshing. Jamie Bell is so good. Love him like low key when he's in things. Like Taylor will attest to it, like him and Jane Eyre, just like so great, especially because like you hate him, which I hate to hate him. That's wonderful. But man, these two could not be more different, especially with one thing is talking about, you know, again, something super serious, but serious in a way that's going to constantly permeate society, and something that's talking about something serious that very likely is going to completely change as technology changes over time, because 20 years from now, the parasocial relationship could completely not exist because we've either decided it's completely fine and healthy and societally we've accepted it, or it could not exist because we've just completely destroyed ourselves and social media doesn't exist. Whatever, who knows? So I'm going to go with the thing that I feel like just has permanence, because sad but true, I do think that like classism and like wealth disparity and stuff like that is going to permanently exist in society, because I have no confidence or faith in the human existence. So I'm going to go with Snowpiercer.
Marisol?
Yeah. Oh, I haven't decided. Here we go. We can sit here all night and I still won't decide. So let me just go for it. And that didn't help. Listening to the two of you didn't help. I was like, oh, I was like, damn it, she's right. And then I was like, oh, damn it, she's right. Okay. All right. Great. So fascinating point to bring up, Mara. I like that holding kind of the kind of capturing a moment before it's happening in film form of Ingrid Goes West, but the timelessness of the themes in Snowpiercer I find a fascinating comparison. I just want to shout out just Aubrey Plaza. I just love her. Kudos to her agent and just the career that she's had. I love how her agent has just committed to just making sure that she gets starring roles in these offbeat, weird, just not even weird, just these offbeat, uncomfortable character dramas, study dramas that just highlight her strengths as an actress, whether it's Emily the Criminal, this Black Bear, like I'm so happy for her.
That's like the trilogy right there.
right. And Ingrid Goes West is a movie that wouldn't succeed without her very specific talents. I really believe that. I'm trying to think of another actress. I mean, there's always somebody out there, yes, but it's a testament to her strength. This movie succeeds as well as it does. And all of the supporting characters, O'Shea Jackson, obviously Elizabeth Olsen, Billy Magnuson, like everybody fills their roles to a T, make these characters more than archetypes, seeing archetypes on paper, but then inject this personality and these character quirks into them that really flesh it out as this really engaging, small scale, small story character drama, really tapping into really uncomfortable places and breaching head first, like conversations about mental health, about having your protagonist be somebody who is actively struggling and facing their own demons and dealing with their own mental health struggles, which are characters that are usually punchlines or jokes or one note in so many movies. And Ingrid Goes West really caught me off guard with how much it makes this woman fully three-dimensional. Not because you're going to agree with everything she does, but you believe and you understand and you empathize with her motivations, her journey, her reasons, her longings. I find that very, very important about this movie. While all being, I don't think it's a heavy movie. I think it still manages to be kind of pretty breezy and light as air as this like tragic comedy. And then Snowpiercer is just, like you said, Mara, the Bong Joon-ho of it all. It's just it's taking these themes and maximizing them through genre to maximum effect. Great. But Snowpiercer is unforgettable. It's fantastic. It sears into your brain, seeing all of the most horrific aspects of, like you're saying, classism and stuff, and like realized manifests in these ultraviolet, ultra gruesome ways, stark ways, really helps Snowpiercer really stay with you. And those represent things that will never change. I'll keep it interesting. I want to vote for Ingrid Goes West, though this is a dead heat for me on these two movies. But I'm gonna play dangerously here.
All right, Adam, where are you headed?
What did you vote for?
Ingrid Goes West. Were you not listening to anything?
No, I heard everything except the last part. I was like, yeah.
I was like, what'd you say? Hey,
Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm on board with all of the Aubrey Plaza praise, because it's a matter of time before she gets recognition by the Academy, which, you know, she doesn't require that for validation, but it's going to happen. That's my only point. And I think Ingrid Goes West and Emily the Criminal are both examples of movies that deserve more recognition than they got. And what I love about Ingrid Goes West is it reminded me of like Single White Female, but it also, like, a more recent movie that came out after it, Influencer, which is on Shudder, and a lot of people haven't seen that movie yet. Go watch it; it's worth watching. It's a very interesting movie, but it's a more like Hitchcockian version of Ingrid Goes West. But Ingrid Goes West is the best version of that story for me, because it has people that I relate to in it, and I relate to, as the children would say, all the cringiness throughout the movie. I really like how on point the performances are by Elizabeth Olsen and Aubrey Plaza, especially, but also Billy Magnuson, because he's so often thrown into movies just because they need a douche, like Roadhouse, you know, like he and I will say this, like, he the thing is, he's technically playing Ben Gazzara's character from the original, and fine, but they should have just put him in another role in that movie and found missed opportunity to get an old dude, an old character actor in Roadhouse. Just saying, we had this conversation. We'll get to that in the 2020s bracket. Roadhouse wild card. Let's go. Okay.
Focus.
Focus. Billy Magnuson is good in this movie. That was my point. I realize it hit me when we were talking about Snowpiercer a while ago, how much I as much as I like this movie, I take it for granted. It's a movie that is widely praised by those who have seen it, and justifiably so. I will get around to the series at one point because our queen, Jennifer Connelly, is in it, and we will watch it at some point. Yes. And David Diggs.
Our queen.
Yes. But he's our good buddy, at least.
He's
Yeah.
an awesome Duke. Yes.
Yes. But I definitely want to watch that show. But I realized I took Snowpiercer for granted because it's just a cool movie that is good. And that is something that like most of us can agree upon. But the other thing too about it is I realized it's one of those movies that feels like it was retroactively thrown into the timeline. Like I saw it like long after it came out, and it was one of those things where it's like, you haven't seen Snowpiercer? I'm like, it's been around here this whole time. And it just felt like it was thrown in like after like retroactively, like I said. And that's why it's I think taking me a while to wrap my head around why this movie is so unique in the 2010s. And as we move further away from it, it gets stronger and stronger. And Bong Joon-ho, for him to move between his native language and English speaking films so deftly is impressive as hell. And also to incorporate some Korean characters in this too is so great. And the Willy Wonka comparisons are apt, but it's also like it's so its own thing, and it's incredibly efficient and tight. And this would be a toss-up on many days of the week for me. But if I'm talking about sheer legacy and influence, I lean Snowpiercer in this situation. But I think Ingrid Goes West is exceptional.
Oh, so I have the deciding vote.
Yeah,
Yep.
eat it, Blunden.
Yeah, Jacob, and tell me why that's going to be a problem for you.
So I know where I'm going with this one, and it's not for that, and I'm going with Ingrid Goes West because I'm going with Ingrid Goes West, and you know what? I'm going to just say it. It's for a superficial reason, and I don't care. We've done Snowpiercer. We did it in the IG bracket. It went very far in the IG bracket, and I can't pick between either of these movies. So that's my superficial reason.
You could also just said you were an Octavia Spencer stan, and I would have like completely not questioned that.
That's fair.
Or you could just say you're scared of Taylor.
Taylor,
That
you can
Also, I totally understand.
If you were going to use that card, you should have used it last week. Not now. It doesn't matter now.
So with that, Ingrid Goes West does make it through to the next round.
Shit, wow.
All right, Ingrid Goes West. I'm not mad though.
All right, next up.
Oh, God.
I'm just actually realizing that I'll say it at the end, actually.
I don't know where this is going.
Interstellar versus Prisoners. I'm going to start with this one. I think both of these directors are incredibly talented and two of the best directors working in Hollywood right now. And these are their probably most mid movies that they've done.
Wow, hot take. Calling them mid.
Shots fired.
I think Interstellar is such a weird movie to me because it's when I first saw it, I didn't like it. Then when I did my Nolan rewatch and I literally watched every single one of his movies, I was like, it was over a weekend actually.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, Interstellar is really, really good. And then
you made me go to it.
And then we went and saw it in a theater, and you and I just watched it with in a theater, and it was kind of just standalone, not in
the middle of all his movies.
Yeah. And it was, again, the same. A lot of the problems that I had with it
the first time,
came back, and it was like, oh, okay. So I'm kind of very like, I think this is a movie that's just has a lot of the Christopher Nolan problems, but is also very well made because Christopher Nolan knows how to make movies, and he is an incredible filmmaker. Prisoners kind of has the same thing for me. I think it is way too long. I get what they're going for, but I just have never gravitated towards Prisoners the way that everyone else does, and the way that everyone screams about how great this movie is. And I think it's probably, out of the ones I've seen, Denny's weakest movie. And so with that,
you sound so excited.
I have to vote for one of them, and honestly, like, if you tell me which one are you gonna put on right now, I'd probably put on Interstellar, but I turn it off with half an hour to go. So I'm gonna go Interstellar, but not very convincingly at all. And that's why I wanted to go first, to just get it over and done with, so that I am not involved in any potential tiebreaker or anything in this.
Oh, we gonna play that back once one of us, once we get to the end, whichever way. Like if it's a 3-2, we're gonna come.
Marisol.
Okay. Yeah. I'll go next. Actually, I'm coming from kind of a similar place with you, Jacob. I'm not the biggest fan of either of these movies. Weirdly enough. Not gonna go call them mid, but that one cut. But
can I also just say? Can I also just say, like,
do you know how serious it has to be for Jacob to bring out the lingo like that to call something mid?
But like, I just also want to say, a mid movie from Denny and Nolan is like, a
great movie for another director.
Like another director's most inspired choice in the entire world. It's like, if I could make something that good, I would be a absolute godsend. And for Denny and Nolan, we're like, it's mid.
Fair enough. I do find that they have a similarity in that I think they're both overlong and both reaching for. They have aspirations. They have emotional aspirations that their cores do not find. That they don't find at their cores, either of these films. I do really feel that and that's why with the presentation and the grandeur and these swings, the director's swinging with these emotional scopes, I don't think either Denis Villeneuve or Christopher Nolan hit. Whenever I finish Prisoners or whenever I finish Interstellar, I don't feel as moved as both movies want to make me feel moved. Like I don't feel those crescendos when either of those movies end. And it's going to boil down to this for me. I did rewatch Interstellar. I didn't get to a rewatch of Prisoners because I have such complex middling emotions about both of them. Even though I do think the performers, particularly Hugh Jackman in his respective film, Matthew McConaughey in his respective film, are both elevating them. Like they are both giving their all, like sinking their all as actors into the performances, which holds you into both of them. It carries you along with both the films. I think I get exhausted with Prisoners, and Interstellar, I just feel a little emotionally underwhelmed when we get to the point. So I think when it comes down to it, I did rewatch Interstellar for this. I am going to vote for Interstellar. Because I recognize some of its swings a little more. Obviously the 2001 influence on it is clear. I think the influence of Contact is pretty clear, and I think Contact is a much more succinct and stronger version of Interstellar. You even got McConaughey in that one too. But I find a crossover with some of those themes, and And when I see them kind of hit home a little more in another film, I can't help but draw comparisons to something like that. But I do always appreciate Nolan pushing himself out of the boundaries of what he is capable, the stories he is capable of telling as a filmmaker. And I see the ambition in Interstellar, and I admire it for that. Even though I find it a little emotionally adrift and emotionally puzzling. And then Prisoners does emotionally drain me. And I do ask myself kind of to which end in the movie by the time we were even reaching the third act in that film. Although I think Gyllenhaal, obviously Hugh Jackman, Gyllenhaal, Terrence Howard, I think the performers all elevate the material. I'm going to vote for Interstellar.
Yeah, this is it's not really going to be passionate for me necessarily. Interstellar, ugh. Like, listen, it had me until the third act, and then I was like, why am I here? What's the point of this? I sat through McConaughey for no reason because the third act doesn't land. If people are new here and you don't understand my anti-McConaughey agenda, I apologize, but this is the way that you're being introduced to it. So like, I just, maybe that's also a bit of the problem I have with Interstellar. I just don't buy it. Like, I don't sympathize with him. I'm like, oh, poor you. Okay, you abandoned your children and now you get to go jet off and go chase your lover. I mean, that's so unfortunate for you. After your fucking magical library didn't work out. I don't know. Interstellar actually like kind of makes me angry. It should have just been Anne Hathaway's movie. That's all I'm gonna say. So yeah, Interstellar's not. I can't. And again, it had the worst glow down in cinema history. I can't believe they would do that to Timothée Chalamet. I'm so mad. I'm not ranting about that again, but seriously, disgusting casting behavior. I'm voting for Prisoners just because I'm so mad right now. I do like Prisoners more, but no, the more I think about Interstellar, the more mad that I'm getting. So I'm voting for Prisoners.
Mara?
Okay, so I've spoken at length about. Whoa, hello, cat. At length about my feelings about the movie Interstellar. As a scientist, it is one of the movies that has me the most mixed, like, ever, because this movie contributed to actual science. Like, this movie furthered real life in the human being world, scientific research in like theoretical physics and astrophysics and stuff. So I have to say that it needs to exist, like, not just as a work of art, but as a like mechanism for real ass scientists to do their real ass jobs, which is so fucking cool. Because like Kip Thorne, like, shout out, big boss energy. But like, yeah, third act space bookshelf love can transcend space and time. Like, eat a dick. I don't care. Like, it doesn't work for me. I'm not invested in this relationship between your, as you guys previously mentioned, your abandoned child at all. And it just doesn't do. But the film making of it, especially the fact that they communicate some seriously complicated scientific topics like gravitational time dilation and even like relative motion, like when they have to dock with the spinning space station because Matt Damon is a dickhole. Like, they do this stuff in a way that is so cinematically interesting and also scientifically accurate, and it creates real stakes narratively. So smart. Such a smart movie. And then it gets so fucking stupid. But also, like, Prisoners, incredible performances. And it's also a movie, though, that has feelings in its third act. Feelings I don't want to feel on the repeat for different reasons, though. Like, those feelings also don't quite work for me, but they're also like, it is a really visceral level of discomfort, and I do generally like that. But I actually don't like how authentic it is, because if I was going to watch a snuff film, I'd watch a snuff film, which I don't want to watch that. And again, I applaud the fact that was what the intent was. That just didn't work for me. So I've actually never revisited the movie. at large. Can't do it. Just don't want to. I have revisited Interstellar countless times, even though, again, the movie makes me viscerally angry and upset because the science makes me so fucking happy. So, despite the fact that the movie gives me like a rage boner, I am going to aggressively vote for Interstellar.
Oh,
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
I find these both to be interesting because these are two directors who, as celebrated as they are and as talented as they are in many ways, I think they both struggle to tap into genuine emotion. I don't think they're incapable of it. I think the reason they struggle is because they're into the craft, and when you get into the emotion behind the performances, I think it helps when you have actors who are very emotionally driven, like McConaughey, like Hugh Jackman, like Gyllenhaal. And look, Interstellar hit right after True Detective, and that was during and Dallas Buyers Club as well. And McConaughey, Taylor, apologies. He was really cooking at that time, and he's still doing fine. But that was really that moment for him. And I remember being so excited about Interstellar. I wanted to rush into that movie with open arms and love it like frame by frame. And I liked it. And like Mara said, I've revisited it. And I think there's a lot that looks cool, but I struggle with the movie because it plays fast and loose with some of the concepts, and I think it's really a good thing to be inspired by 2001: A Space Odyssey. I think countless filmmakers are, and I don't find it to be derivative of 2001 because Nolan's trying so hard to do his own thing, but at the same time, he's not quite threading the needle. But then everything we've talked about Prisoners, I feel similarly because it's an ensemble piece with all these good performances in service of a story that I don't know what it's really trying to tell me other than like, we're beasts and we're angry and we don't trust each other. I get it. I'm not trying to diminish the movie because of that, but I really like, you put Paul Dano in a box for the whole second half of the movie and just like, I'm sorry, like Prisoners for me, when I finally saw that movie and I've revisited parts of it, I don't find it gratuitous in the sense that I can't bear it. I've seen a lot of messed up genre movies over the years. Prisoners is not upsetting to me in that sense. It's gratuitous in the sense that like the movie makes its point halfway through and then I'm stuck with this situation. And by the end of the movie, I was just worn out. And I'm like, yes, these are good performances. I understand being an angry parent. I do. And wanting to target that rage at a scapegoat. But because the movie dwells on that for so long, it just wore me down. And it does wear me down when I go back to it. Interstellar wears me down a different way, but not to a point where it's unbearable. And I mentioned this last time, and we talked about this during the rewatch recently. Not for nothing, the never-ending cornfield scene with Topher Grace, very funny, very very funny stuff.
Yo,
It's
the last 40 minutes of the movie where they keep cutting back to Topher Grace yelling at Jessica Chastain, telling her it's coming, he's coming.
That amuses me a lot.
That's weird. That's bizarre editing. It's okay.
I'm gonna vote for Interstellar as well, because I like it more than Prisoners. Genuinely, I just do.
All right. Well, with that, Interstellar does move on to the next round. Taylor, would you like to go first or last on this one?
Oh God.
Uh-oh.
It's about to happen.
I don't know. Just look, I don't care. I don't. It's gonna be bad either way.
All right, Taylor, you get to go first.
Okay.
Scott Pilgrim versus the World versus Pacific Rim.
Somebody versus.
I don't like it. I already went through hell last time. I don't want to do this again. Okay, so again, I don't know where to start with this one, but for very different reasons this time. Pacific Rim, I think, is a perfect modern action film. I think it's something that during the time that it came out, at least, we weren't getting a lot of blockbusters like it. And I think that it really is a movie that, yeah, it has cool fight scenes and cool CGI and cool choreography and just like rad as hell, you know, like robots, and it's just really fucking cool. But you can tell that Guillermo del Toro put so much of his heart into it as well. Like, he's just so passionate about the story and about the cool as hell robots, and like how the lighting in the city was supposed to make everything look like. It's just one of those things where we weren't getting that. We weren't getting people who wanted to care about what their action movies looked like and felt like, and to give you both of those things in one movie. And I revisit it all the time. I made us drive all the way to LA so we could see it on an IMAX screen with Del Toro there, because I was like, I need to do that in my life. I need to sit in the same room as Del Toro on a giant fucking IMAX screen and watch this movie because it makes me so happy.
And then drive back.
And then drive back.
And then
drive
back at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Drive there, barely get there on time because LA traffic at 5 p.m. is fucking terrible. And then literally turn around and go back home. Still worth it. Don't care. So like that movie is really special to me. Just like it just is. Like, it's just a movie that I'll rewatch and I'll have so much fun with. And I just like, I love it. I feel the joy that he clearly felt making it. And my Roman Empire is thinking about how he was going to make the sequel and the studio fucked it so bad. So that's super unfortunate that we live in that timeline. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is probably my favorite comic book movie. Probably. If it's not first, it's like second. I love the style of this movie so much. I think that just the way, you know, you hear a lot of people say, oh, like this movie or this show like really feels like the comic book has jumped off the page. This movie feels like you took the comic book panels and you're throwing the best bits of it onto the screen, mixing it in with the real world. And I just think it's so clever the way a lot of it is used. I think a lot of the really cool practical effects are awesome too. A lot of the cool little touches are practical, which is so much fun. The ensemble cast in this is crazy. Like, you look back on it now and you go, wow, that's crazy. 20 years from now, people are going to look back on it and go, what the fuck? How are all these people in this movie? Like, what? How did that happen? And it just has some of the best one-liners, like the vegan police, iconic. Just it's one of those movies again that I just put on and I have fun with it. And even though Scott Pilgrim is literally the worst, literally a character you do not want to root for ever, at least me specifically, I just love the movie. Like, I love the movie, and I think the characters are so fun, and the aesthetic is so fun, and the style is great, and Edgar Wright really understood what the tone needed to be. So this is literally like choosing between my children, where I just put them on for funsies to watch them because I have so much fun and I love them so much. And I hate that for me, that we're in this position, but I'm going to try and take it as a positive that they both made it this far, so I don't cry after last episode where I literally thought I was going to cry on camera. So thank you for that. God, why? Okay. All right. I'm picking Pacific Rim. I'm not going to think about it. Wow. I'm not going to think about it. Right. I'm not going to think about it.
Wasn't expecting that.
I don't want to think about it.
Genuinely thought you were going to go Scott Pilgrim.
I hate you.
Really thought you were going to go Scott Pilgrim.
I hate you so much.
Jacob, stop expressing your opinion.
Yeah,
This is hard for you for literally the opposite reason.
So here's the thing. I'm not the biggest Pacific Rim fan. I think it's a good movie, which I didn't 12 months ago. And then having rewatched it I've started to come around a lot more, especially given where blockbuster filmmaking has gone over the last 10 years. Looking at it now, you're just like, oh, this is blockbuster filmmaking at its best. And I definitely come to appreciate that a lot more. I just don't connect with the characters. Charlie Hunnam is bland white boy, and I like just complete blank slate, and there is nothing there at all. I'm the canceling the apocalypse does nothing to me, mostly because I grew up with the Independence Day speech, and that's the speech.
I hate you.
Canceling the apocalypse just doesn't work for me on the same level. So so like I don't like yeah.
Cancel your apocalypse.
But that being said, like, and I for some reason have a reputation of hating Scott Pilgrim when I just think it's a very good movie, not this all-time
yeah, but
because
you have the rep for being an Edgar Wright hater. That's why.
Yeah, because I'm not massive on Edgar Wright. So, but this one's fairly close for it's fairly easy for me, and it's Scott Pilgrim versus the World, because I think Scott Pilgrim is just just such a fun and energetic movie, even though I have definitely become a lot warmer towards Pacific Rim than I was 10 years ago. So I'm voting for Scott Pilgrim. Adam.
What I like about this matchup is what both of these movies have in common is, and Pacific Rim was more successful at the box office, I know that, but both of them underperformed. Scott Pilgrim especially so. But like both of them really found their audience after their theatrical run, and they have sustained that audience. Like the thing I think it's so special about both of these movies is they are talked about consistently. And with Scott Pilgrim, what I find interesting about it is a comic book movie, but it's also it's the reverse. It's not technically an adaptation of a video game, but it is a video game movie to me. There's a great video game based on Scott Pilgrim that came out around that time, and it's been re-released many times. I was playing it not too long ago, and it's just a great little side scroller, like beat 'em up game. But what I like about Scott Pilgrim and respect about it so much is it captures the fun of video game mechanics. It captures the fun of comic book storytelling. It makes fun of hipsters. It encapsulates a lot of aspects of Canadian culture that are understated, which I appreciate. And it does have a terrific cast. I saw it way late in the game. I was not into it at the time because I wasn't paying attention to it, and saw it way later. And I have to say, to this day, the moment in that movie that wrecks me is the Universal music bump with Chris Evans. That messes me up. I can't handle it. I rewind it like 4 or 5 times if I watch that movie because it's fantastic. And Pacific Rim doesn't get enough credit for basically giving us kaiju movies again. Because Cloverfield deserves credit too, to be fair. And I think Cloverfield is awesome, and we'll get to that in another bracket, hopefully. Deserves to be talked about. But with kaiju movies, it's about reintroducing the sense of scale. Cloverfield did that beautifully. Pacific Rim captures that really well. And what I love about Pacific Rim is it does it in the daylight and it does it at nighttime. It gives you a little bit of both. Guillermo del Toro, I think, was so cognizant of the Transformers movies without like giving them shit. I think it's so cool that like he took the Jaeger concept, which is just Transformers. It's the Zords from Power Rangers, which I love. And you make them just fun, giant beat 'em up robots, and you mix that with kaiju, it's really, really interesting, and it makes it so dynamic. And the sequel is so unfortunately bad. And I say that because it should be better. The concept is so strong, and for the sequel to be so underwhelming and boring. I was so blown away by how boring Uprising was. The first movie is not boring. I really, really like it. This is tough for me because you and I have talked about this. Like, admittedly, Scott Pilgrim is not something that's near to my heart, but I like it. And then Pacific Rim is a movie I was not expecting. And I find them both very influential. So, with that said, by a hair, because I love monsters, I'm going to say Pacific Rim. But I wanted to give Scott Pilgrim its due because I respect it. I really do. I think it's a very strong movie. Yeah.
Mara?
Yeah.
It's a very strong movie.
Yeah, I do.
So
I'll punch you.
my feelings on Scott Pilgrim are interesting because I love the movie, but I think that the worst part of it is the title character. I think every other person in that movie is more interesting and better.
Mhm.
But again, I love it stylistically. I love the music choices. Every other thing about that movie, I think, is just fabulous. And I also disagree with the alternate ending. I disagree with the theatrical ending. I think he should have ended up alone and miserable. So that's my hot take. Pacific Rim is like, hello, movie designed for me. It's got kaiju. It's got big robots. It's got twins. It's got triplets. It's got Idris. Like, what more do I need to ask for? It's also got amazing creature design because GDT is super involved with the creature designs in all of his movies and stuff like that. I'm just a happy little camper. Like, that movie gives me joy, and they are both really stylized movies in very, very different ways. And the thing is I actually agree that, like, Charlie Hunnam is maybe not like grabbing us into like a deep emotional journey per se. And so I do have problems with like our protagonists in both movies, but I don't hate the guy. Like, I don't hate the character. Like, obviously I'm not talking the actors. I don't hate the character though. I may not connect with him, but I don't hate him. And since I really fucking hate Scott Pilgrim, and when I do watch the movie, everything around him brings me joy, but I still get mad at him so much. Everything in Pacific Rim brings me joy. Other than, like, twin death. Very sad. But like, everything else brings me so much joy. So I'm gonna joyously vote for Pacific Rim.
Oh,
Marisol?
I was trying to keep my cool. I had no idea which way it was going to go, but my heart does cry because Scott Pilgrim is one of the defining movies of my 2010s. This movie fucks so hard. Oh, this hurts. I was cool. I was chilling in my corner. I just wanted to see it play out. It was gonna play out whether I went first or last, the way it just played out. But damn, I love me some Pacific Rim. I love it. I don't disagree with. I agree with everything that's been said about Pacific Rim. That Del Toro signature. He elevates this. He injects so much more heart and humor and gorgeous creature design and staging and set pieces into this thing you could ever imagine. Pacific Rim does just have and it's got Idris Elba, canceling out the wooden like hollow cool guy performance of Charlie Hunnam at the center. That I'm still not mad, but like hollow. But Idris is just he's the star, but there is still kind of a ceiling there with Pacific Rim. It doesn't go into the stratosphere for me, even though I rewatch this movie so much. I enjoy it so much, but I'm gonna get my little thing to say out because Scott Pilgrim, because it's not gonna be in the bracket anymore. But Scott Pilgrim is just poetry in motion. It is, especially like, it's an editor's wet dream. This is a movie that clips and moves and flows and just is on this track. Like, it is sublimely edited, and the flow is just so unlike so many other films. It takes so much to even just within Edgar Wright's filmography, it takes so much between like this and Hot Fuzz, and obviously Shaun of the Dead, but especially this and Hot Fuzz. He was just really in the zone. This is just gold medal filmmaking, I think, from Edgar Wright, who I am a fan of. Don't love everything, but I'm a fan of. And yeah, Scott Pilgrim's a dick. Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's an idiot. His friends are calling him out the whole movie. They're like, Jesus, a 17-year-old schoolgirl? God, you're such a dick. You don't deserve this. What's wrong with you? And he's like, oh. And he's obnoxious, and it's all so fluffy and fun and colored by so many colorful supporting characters. It's a manga brought to life. It's such a comic book fantasy exploding off the screen and fantastically realized in real life. I'm just thinking like 25 years from now, when the inevitable, they already make these now, but then 20 years from now, the greatest comic book adaptations of all time. Scott Pilgrim is going to be on every one of those lists. It's going to be on every one of those lists. There's going to be Sin City on those lists. Obviously, I think Watchmen will make it on the list too, to some degree.
The Spirit.
Don't. Just,
making sure everyone's paying attention.
There's countless others. Dick Tracy might even make it on there too. But like Scott Pilgrim versus the World is always going to be on those lists because it's just a sublime, complete, fully realized vision of an already great original work. I'm sad to see it go. I don't expect everybody to feel as strong about it as I do, but I just adore this movie. And this just fires on all cylinders for me. And it's one of the most firecracker films of the 2010s. And such a unique movie that didn't come before and didn't come after. And I'm sorry to see it go. Ramona Flowers for life.
All right. With that, Pacific Rim does make it to the next round. All right. Brooklyn versus Seven Psychopaths.
Oh. Can I go first?
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to go first. Brooklyn wrecked me. Absolutely wrecked me. I love Brooklyn, but I haven't rewatched it since. I'm probably safe to rewatch it now.
Oh, now you are.
Now I'm probably safe to rewatch it.
A week before moving to Australia was a dumb idea, Jacob.
Yeah, well, whatever. It's fine. I love Brooklyn so much, and I'm definitely putting it on the top of my rewatch list because I just think it's beautiful. I do not get Seven Psychopaths. I don't get it. I was like really excited to watch it because it's been like hyped up. Because I was like, oh, that's got to be one of your next. Like, you got to put that on the list. And I'm like, all right. And the bracket show came up. And I was like, all right, I guess it's time. And I sat there and I was like, oh, yeah. Okay. I'm bored. Bye. I'm done. I don't get it. And as someone who spends a lot of her spare time like writing, I was like, I'm devastated that this doesn't work for me and doesn't hit, and that I just don't feel anything. So I'm sorry to all of the Seven Psychopaths truthers out there, but I am not one of them.
As someone who is a Seven Psychopaths truther, I love Seven Psychopaths. I think it's an awesome movie. I think it's probably my favorite Martin McDowell movie. Like, I think it's probably my favorite one of his. I really love this exploration into writer's block and kind of just the creative process and a director writing his way through success and through coming off success and what the next thing for him to do following that success. And I just really, really appreciate everything that Seven Psychopaths does. And I do find it incredibly funny and entertaining. And I really enjoy it. I think there is a movie from the 2000s that we will talk about that does this entire premise a lot better. But I still really love this movie. That movie's adaptation. If you don't know what I'm talking about,
I was gonna say, you about to say Smoking Aces. We gonna riot.
Yeah, adaptation does this premise a lot better, but I really, really, really dig Seven Psychopaths. It ain't Brooklyn. Brooklyn's something else, yo. Like, Brooklyn is this movie that just you can't. When someone goes, "What's so good about it?" You can't even really explain what. Like, it's just one of those. It's just a really, really sincere, sweet, and loving movie. And I can't go, "Oh, the performances are out of," like, it's not, the performances are all fantastic, but it's not like the greatest acting you've ever seen. It's not the greatest writing you've ever seen. It's not the greatest. It's not like the best, but it just works so well that it just hits you in a way that you're not expecting, and it's just such a beautifully sweet movie. So yeah, like, as much as I love Seven Psychopaths and was the biggest advocate for it on this bracket and in the last round over Wreck-It Ralph, I'm going Brooklyn for this one because it's Brooklyn. Marisol.
I am fresh off of watching Seven Psychopaths for the first time. I watched it for the bracket. And I am tickled rotten by Martin McDonagh. He is filling, I say this every time we talk about a Martin McDonagh movie, but he just fills that little Coen's brother void in my heart. Like, the Coen brothers have took their foot off the gas in like the 2010s. And Martin McDonagh was like, I'm here. Like, he's like, and now's my chance, and he even has Carter Burwell making, like, Carter Burwell scores all of Martin McDonagh's movies, which also helps. You feel like you're watching a Coen Brothers movie when you're watching Martin McDonagh movies, just in the music alone. And I felt that in Seven Psychopaths. Just has that black-hearted, just, this is tragic, this is ugly, but there's humor in all of this. Be amused by this. These are characters who know no bottom, but also just have the same longings and the same yearnings as an actual normal person out there, which is one of the things I liked. I certainly liked about Seven Psychopaths. I just got to shout out Christopher Walken. He is the heart, the soul of this movie, and was the thing keeping me the most interested in all of the random going-ons in here, the tangential nature of the plot. Christopher Walken's simple, humble, steadfast, quiet, demure, former assassin Quaker character in this was just really the center of this movie, and is just a reason to recommend it alone. And then solid performances, of course, from Sam Rockwell, Colin Farrell. Brooklyn, Jacob, you said it really, really well. My favorite thing about Brooklyn is the sincerity of it. You can't overstate that. It's sincere and special because how grounded and normal it is, and just true to the emotion and how caught up you get, and how harrowing the really simple but life-changing decisions can be for all of us. How they were, especially in a time when immigrants had even less chances and less opportunities, and it did change your whole world. It was that simple. It wasn't as simple as some of the things we enjoy now, like, hey, just move back in with your parents, or don't. No, uproot your entire life and change the course of your destiny by moving across the world back home, like to your family and to your life. It really puts at the forefront just how the ripple effect of making these decisions at these big crossroads in your life and following your heart, and just the earnestness with which this movie plays it out is so captivating. And I love my queen, Saoirse Ronan. She can do no wrong. She's one of my favorite living actresses, and you also said nothing blows me away about Brooklyn, but it's just so solid and honest and true to itself, and never tries to over dramatize or be anything more than this just really simple, essential story at its heart. And putting these two together, very different. One's very cynical, one's very earnest, very, very different movies from two equally talented directors. At the end of the day, I am going to vote for Brooklyn because it makes me want to rewatch it more. And I think that Seven Psychopaths, you mentioned adaptation, I do think it tries to out-clever itself. And I do think that it becomes meta about filmmaking, about assessing the world of screenwriting. I think it becomes meta to, it kind of drifts out to effect. I think it doesn't really hit a punctuation point. I think it becomes more adrift with its meta commentary on screenwriting. So I'm going to pick Brooklyn.
Mara?
Do I have a tie-breaking vote?
No. Brooklyn's gone through.
Oh, okay, good. Because I don't really care about the movie Brooklyn at all. And I also don't really care about Seven Psychopaths. So I can just abstain because I just don't care.
Okay.
Neither one of these movies touches me in any way.
Adam?
No, yeah. Mara, well said. No, I like both of these movies. Okay. I will say this. Seven Psychopaths, I appreciate everything people are bringing up, like what it reminded you of, like things it harkened back to. I think every filmmaker is entitled to their LA movie. I think Seven Psychopaths is a fun LA movie. It's fun. But for me, what I picked up on, especially when you were rewatching it, because I had seen it once and I watched a little bit of it with you when you were watching it. Sadly, for how wacky that movie is, I hate to admit how much I forgot. And the only thing that I stuck with is like, yeah, these are fun performances because these are all actors I like. I'm not going to dislike them doing much of anything. It's not a bad movie on paper either. I think Seven Psychopaths is fun. I will say this. I am worn out by the use of the word psychopath in that movie, though. That is exhausting. Like when you finally hear it so many times. Okay, all right, stop. Walken is perfect in pretty much everything. He's great in this, and I dig everything he's doing. Woody Harrelson had so many aggressive villain roles in the 2010s. It's just like,
did
he? Yeah, like remember Out of the Furnace?
Sure don't.
Well, he was a big dickhead in that movie too.
Okay.
And yeah, like I just don't even like him in this movie. I love Woody Harrelson, but I don't like his character. I don't find him interesting. I just find him to be like a little dickhead. But I like Sam Rockwell, I like Christopher Walken, and I like Colin Farrell. But the movie, rewatching parts of it with you just made me want to watch Get Shorty. I really like that movie a lot. And that's an LA movie that I think plays with the concept of mixing criminal life with wanting to be like pivot to this creative career. And we've been watching Sopranos, and I love
very Christopher.
Christopher is chili pop.
Yeah, yes.
And I love that. Anyway, Brooklyn is so understated and classy. And that was like the Donal Gleason domination year and a half. I was like, who is this dude? Oh, he's Brendan's boy. All right, I like him. He's really good in this. Everyone's good in Brooklyn. We need to move along. I'm just going to vote for Brooklyn. I've made my point. I talked more about the movie I'm not voting for. But I vote for Brooklyn. Let's move on.
All right. Well, Adam, I'm going to let you have a little bit of a runway with this one then. Mission Impossible Rogue Nation versus Midsommar.
It's going to be Ghost Protocol versus Midsommar. Because Rogue Nation.
No.
No, because Ghost Protocol. I like Ghost Protocol, but I'm mad at that movie because you used it to wipe out 2 John Wicks. And that's and look, if we're gonna have the John Wick versus Ethan Hunt conversation, you're not ready for that conversation. That's a whole separate bracket.
Never forget John Wick.
I know, bullshit. Rogue Nation for me though, the second Mission Impossible trilogy, as it were, Ghost Protocol through Fallout. I think Rogue Nation is my favorite of the three. Honest to God, it is. And not just because the opera scene, which is impeccable. I love everything about the scene at the theater. I think it's great. I love the way they set up the villain. And I think it says a lot that Fallout is all constructed around the fact that they want to give this villain like some closure. I really, really love the way they get the leg up on him in the third act. It's really, really cool. So many movies of this ilk are about the villain falling off a cliff, and this movie doesn't. It's not about that. It's about defeating him and making him realize it and live with it. And beyond that, the set pieces are so great. We talk about the stunt pieces in Ghost Protocol with good reason, but I like Rogue Nation because it sets up a lot of new things in interesting ways. Rebecca Ferguson, joining the fray is obviously very, very cool. I think it's a great movie. But we're, like I was saying about The Lighthouse, Midsommar is just on another level with me. I remember, like Hereditary was a statement, and I remember being so excited for Midsommar and being so thrilled by the fact that yes, Midsommar has things there are thematic commonalities between that and Hereditary, no doubt. But I love that Ari Aster like went out of his way to make a movie that is saturated in daylight. And you watch the director's cut, there's some night scenes that they add into that are pretty interesting. And then the way they use night throughout Midsommar is very effective. But the vast majority of the movie takes place in, at the height of noon in the day. And there's no mystery left there. And that's what makes it so like upsetting to watch. The cliff scene is notorious, obviously, but there's so many understated non-violent moments throughout Midsommar that make me cringe and stress out and sweat. I think all the performances are excellent. And yeah, I love Midsommar. I can't stress it enough. I think Florence Pugh's performance is fantastic. I think Jack Rayner is so good. I love that they're both people from the UK. She's Scottish, he's Irish, and they're playing an American couple. And I've always found it really, really endearing that Florence Pugh always calls him Christian with 3 syllables. I love that in this movie. I think that's such an interesting affectation of the character, to like emphasize the syllables in his name. If I talk more about this movie, I'm going to talk about like non sequiturs of little details like that. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to vote for Midsommar so we can move on. Okay. You happy? You're drinking whiskey, and I cut myself off. I cut my own mic. You should be proud of me.
Marisol?
Yeah. Interesting matchup for me. These movies are closer than I know you want me to say. We can't be more different from each other. So let's just dive right in. Yeah, Midsommar. I do second what you're saying. I find it fascinating. Midsommar came out the same year as Portrait of a Lady on Fire, and these might be the two like brightest.
And the
movies.
Lighthouse, woo woo.
Well, no, that doesn't tie into what I'm saying. No. Yes, those movies were released in the same year, but the comparison between the two is how bright both of those films are, like how they're just bathed in sunlight, both of them, which I love. I love that year, these bursts of these movies that are just popping, that are just blazing in the sun with big, bold, bright colors in the forefront of both of them. I love the framing, the shot composition all throughout Midsommar. Those big wide shots, the panning all around kind of the encampment, and the eeriness that tracks to all of that. I think it's very unique, and unique for Astor to find all the eeriness in the places that you least expect, which is one of the things I like about it. I do think the relationship drama is drawn out in it. I like it, but I don't know quite how to say it. I will figure that out at another point. And Florence Pugh's performance does keep me grounded in the whole thing, although it does end with me having actually a few more questions. But that opening scene is just dynamite. Mission Impossible Rogue Nation has, as you already mentioned, a couple memorable set pieces from the entire series. And it has the thrills and it delivers. I will say this, as we are getting to this point with the Mission Impossible series, as somebody who really enjoys this series but doesn't worship it, it does get a little tough at some points. I don't rewatch them on the regular. So I do forget, like, did that happen in the 5th one or the 6th one or the third one? Some of them do kind of blur together for me. I am going to vote for Midsommar in this situation. But I'm just getting that out there. I am going to vote for Midsommar. I do really enjoy Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, though I don't think it is not the strongest. I enjoy Fallout, Ghost Protocol, even Mission Impossible 3 a little bit more than it. But I still think it is absolutely solid continuation. But I can't vote for the 5th entry in an action franchise over a film thematically and visually as unique and searing and pretty iconic as Midsommar. I'm just not going to.
I'll make this quick. Do not like Midsommar. Not even a little bit. Not even the slightest bit. So we're going for Rogue Nation.
Let's throw it on right now, Taylor.
Because I have fun with Rogue Nation and I like rewatching Rogue Nation. And someone would have to pay me a large sum of money to rewatch Midsommar ever. Just ever. So there you go.
It is amazing when we finally did sit down and watch it, how much you at the end of it were just like, nope.
Yep. No.
That didn't work for me.
Hey, I want people to give me credit that I sat down and I watched it. Yeah. I did sit down and watch it.
Fan, Taylor, you were
and I still haven't gotten around to Hereditary.
Yeah.
But I did sit down and watch Midsommar, and at the end I was like, well, I'm glad that I'd put myself through that. I do think it's visually very gorgeous, and I think that the performances are great. But that was not an experience I care to put myself through again. And I don't even really have an appreciation for the story. Like a lot of the ones I don't like, I can be like, I appreciate it. No. Florence Pugh, I love you, but no.
That one just didn't work for me.
It did not work for me. And I wish that it worked for me, because it's one of those that I sat down because everyone was like so like high on it. And I get that. But it wasn't even that it was like scary. Like that wasn't my problem. I just didn't. I don't know. It just, my brain was not having it. I don't know. I'm sorry, guys. It was very pretty, but I don't know.
I like Midsommar a lot more than you do.
You did. You have.
I feel it's a very good movie. I think it is a very good movie. Unfortunately, Rogue Nation is, I think, the best action movie from the decade. So I'm also going with Rogue Nation, which because I just love this movie so goddamn much, and it is. I will put it over Fallout. I will put it over all the other Mission Impossibles. This is it for me. I can rewatch this one so much. Like I watch this one standalone compared to all the other. Like I'll just put this one on because I want to. So yeah, Mara.
The fate is in your hands.
Deciding vote.
All right. So this is these are two wonderful movies, but the decision for me is actually quite simple. I mean, I'm going to still praise both movies, but I'll let you know what my vote is right away. Mission Impossible Rogue Nation is my favorite Mission Impossible movie. Midsommar is not my favorite Ari Aster movie. That's not necessarily the defining reason why, but I absolutely love Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. It's thoroughly fun. It was the best James Bond movie that came out that year. It really does have all of the things. It's so intelligent. It is fun. I think that they finally found a way to write a female character completely, because I think that they kind of screwed over Felicity and they just abandoned Paula Patton. You don't abandon Paula Patton.
Thank you.
And I think that they finally figured out how to write a female character in this movie. And I don't know. It's my I'm drugged up on the plane movie. It is always on my iPhone. I'm not joking. That movie is downloaded on my iPhone right now. It is always on my iPhone. I love this movie. And I've seen it probably an embarrassing number of times. And every single piece of praise that was given to Midsommar, I agree with thoroughly. But I've watched Hereditary probably like 15 times. Like, that's my movie in his canon. And again, it's not a dig on Midsommar. It's just extra praise for how much Hereditary speaks to me. So I'm sad to see it go, but I gotta vote for Mission Impossible.
I don't know if Adam's ever going to speak to you again.
I don't know if Adam's ever going to like a Mission Impossible movie ever, because it just keeps knocking out the ones that
John
he
Wick.
loves.
Yeah, no, it was a kill Midsommar. Way to go. You could say it. You could say fuck you, Jacob. You can say it. It's okay.
You're gonna watch Midsommar and John Wick for no reason.
That's a hell of a double feature.
My baby. I lost my program.
I do like Rogue Nation, though. I think it's a good movie.
All right, Marisol, I will let you start with this one. Our Separation versus 12 Years a Slave.
Racist, Jacob.
Okay.
You mean a Middle Eastern movie versus the black movie? You're like, you go.
You are not going to tear us apart.
How hard you went for a separation last time over Boyhood. You were just like, fuck Boyhood.
You are not going to tear us apart. I don't care how much this bracket tries.
These are two pretty bleak movies. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, but two fantastic movies that have a lot to say about different points in history and snapshots. Oh, damn. Oh, God. Man. Okay. So 12 Years a Slave, I'm just going to try to boil them down to their surface qualities. 12 Years a Slave is an unflinching snapshot of the ugly history of America from the perspective of the people that this country's history actually did its atrocities to, not about the colonizers in this situation, the white people, the people on top. It is a movie from the perspective of the person whose life was destroyed. And not since Roots, honestly, did we get fed that as an audience, as an American audience? Didn't really absorb that in our media. I mean, look, just an account that straightforward from the horse's mouth. That's what I think is seminal about 12 Years a Slave. I think Steve McQueen is a critical filmmaker to be telling this story because of his lack of sensationalism, because of he just pulled the veneer back, allowed you to just look at this ugly reality straightforward in the face, and you then sit with that. You have to deal with that. You have to rectify those feelings. You have to deal with that and ask those questions of yourself as a viewer. And I think that makes it just critical, crucial filmmaking, one of the best films of the decade. I also think A Separation is a snapshot into, it's a snapshot into, I guess, the modern landscape of Iran, of the domestic life in there, which is also something that is eye-opening and critical for, I'm just going to say this from American perspectives, for American audiences to see. And I'm so happy this movie made its way overseas. It was a big international hit that it was, deserved all the praise it did. Because it's illuminating, it's educational, and it also is unflinching. And it is not quite as dire. The situation is not as dire and not as life or death as 12 Years a Slave for certain. But it is vital in peeling back these layers, these nuances in family dynamics and gender relations, seeing just how much a nation who I think to more untrained eyes, American eyes, actually has a lot of nuance in its gender relationships, in its marital relationships, and giving a voice to. I'm going to get into weeds in this. I'm just going to back up and say this. I think these are both very important movies for very different reasons. And if I have to pick one, I am going to go with 12 Years a Slave, because both films, actually, you know what? I'm going to switch it. And I think I'm going to vote for A Separation.
Jesus.
I'm going to switch it. I think I'm going to vote for A Separation. I think I'm going to vote for A Separation because I just think that I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm going to call it right here. This is going to be a completely arbitrary reason, but I'm not sure I don't know if 12 Years a Slave is going to get, I don't know if A Separation is going to get votes. I get scared that I think Separation votes. I'm a little scared that I don't think it's going to get any votes here, and it should vote. But I also don't want that to backfire. Fuck it. I'm going to stick with my guns, and I'm going to stick with A Separation. I'm going to go for A Separation, even though I was going to vote for 12 Years a Slave.
Mara.
Okay.
Can I also make up a rule that I can change my vote at the last second if I want to?
No, you picked one.
I mean, can I use my once in a bracket change my vote again? Like, if for whoever goes first, can they then get to the end and then change their vote?
There's no rule that says we can't change our vote. We've done it before.
Oh god,
it's happened before.
I just want to see how this plays out, and then I'm gonna. This is my chicken shit way. This is my chicken shit way of trying to sway the vote. No, I'm gonna stick to my guns. I'm gonna stick with The Separation, probably.
Okay. Mara.
Okay. I think Marisol was very, very eloquent. And I do agree that these are both very, very important and compelling stories. And you can't compare the importance of the two. Like, there is no comparison to Suffering and to Strife. And, it literally, like, you can't compare those things. So, and they're both so well written, so well acted. Maybe this is a stupid reason, but from the standpoint of representation, because there is little to no Middle Eastern representation in any fucking film in this bracket, period. Like, I'm just talking actors, actresses, filmmakers, behind the camera talent of any kind. I'm going to vote for Separation. I do also fucking love the movie, so it's like a win-win there. So I wouldn't vote for it if it was shit, but I really like to see, people that look like me in this bracket. So I'm voting for that.
I'm so conflicted. I want to vote for both of these movies. Sorry to hijack this.
That's fun.
Can I still vote for 12? I don't know. Don't sigh at me. Can I?
Adam, do you want to vote and then?
No, I should stick to what I was originally going to vote for. I want to vote for both of these movies.
Whose turn is it?
You, please go.
I'm gonna go. No, wait. I'm gonna vote for.
All right.
I'm gonna wait.
So,
I'm gonna do. I want to do it before I get influenced. But like, what more people are saying? Because already, I'm like, oh my god. Because everybody's gonna continue to say such amazing things.
Just let her talk.
All right. I'm just gonna vote for 12 Years a Slave.
Okay.
All right. All right. So I just have to say, it is so funny. I have poor a separation because like I have this like really goofy, like almost ships in the night situation with a separation. So I have like sort of seen the movie, which is so goofy because like you watched it on an airplane and because it's subtitled. I mentioned this the first time we talked about it. I don't even remember what goddamn movie I was watching. It was probably Cruella or some other piece of shit. I don't remember, but I remember I was ignoring whatever I was watching because you had subtitles, and I was like,
You got sucked in,
and I basically saw the movie silently with subtitles. I know what it's about. And that's not a fair shake. And then when it made the bracket, here's the thing: I rented it. And it sat on my Prime account for 30 days. And I started it. I didn't finish it. And then I voted for it. And then I was like, I'm not renting it again. I bought the DVD. And I still haven't watched the whole movie all the way through, like on my television with full audio.
Disrespect.
I'm a piece of human garbage. And I'm glad we could figure that out through this matchup. We had to get there eventually. But here's the thing I picked up on about a separation pretty quick, and I really like about it. Yes, it is about what it's like to figure out the situation in Iran specifically, and it deals with a lot of the legalities of that and the complications of that. But what I really like about it is the human element of why they decide to split up. They don't, correct me if I'm wrong, they don't hate each other. He is trying to take care of his father, and they get to a crossroads where he's like, I have to stay here to take care of my father. And it's a matter of like, she's like, I either need my husband or he's going to take care of his father. It's a crossroads they're at. And I think that's a really interesting like thing to confront, because something that we take for granted in the United States is that we don't automatically take care of our parents when they're old. And we have normalized this idea of putting them in homes. And that's not, and I'm not saying that that's automatically a bad thing. It's the right solution for some people. It is. But there's a fair discussion to be had about how traditionally, and this isn't unique to any one nation, it's not unique to Iran or any other nation, but like traditionally we have looked after our elders, and that goes way back in history. And the more modernized we become as a society across nations, we are less and less likely to literally look after our parents. And the fact that this is a marriage that's disintegrating because someone's trying to look after their father. And the reason I bring that up isn't because I think he is arbitrarily noble in this situation. I think she is justified for wanting to end her marriage, but that's why it's such an interesting premise for a movie. And I will finish this with full audio in its entirety before too long. But I just wanted to at least get into what I know about the movie and give it credit, and let the world know I own a physical digital video disc, and I will watch it all the way over and over again. And going back to 12 Years a Slave, I agree with everything you're saying. What everyone's been saying. I think what's so unique about the movie is we deal with all the racist pieces of shit in that movie, but they are fleeting. The constant is Chiwetel Ejiofor's character, and it's not a story about the noble colonialists. Yes, there are a couple of non-pieces of shit who happen to be white, and that's great, but it's not about them. I don't care that they're not pieces of shit. We know there were a couple of them back then, but it's not about like shining a light on that. It's about realizing this man's journey. And I've seen 12 Years a Slave twice. I think it's excellent. I think it deserved Best Picture. And I'm so excited that Steve McQueen is making movies. I really need to see Small Axe. I'm just saying that. I'm declaring it publicly because I haven't watched all those movies yet, and I really need to. So I'm going to vote for 12 Years a Slave. I've actually seen it with audio twice. And yeah, but I watched Separation with subtitles on a plane to the left.
I'm also going to go with 12 Years a Slave just because that movie wrecks me every time I watch it. Like it's just such a strong and powerful film, and I love that movie, and it's haunting and horrific, but in a way that does just stay with you the entire time. So yeah, I'm going with 12 Years a Slave.
Woo! Glad I don't have to be a tiebreaker because I haven't seen either of them. Got nothing for you. Sorry. I was real scared.
On the couch.
I was real scared that I was going to have to tie break because I got nothing for you. Sorry.
All right. And our last round 2-1 for the night.
I don't want to. Maybe if the mouse starts working. No.
Mad Max Fury Road versus Ex Machina.
No.
Ooh.
No. Pain.
Yeah, all right. I'm just gonna go first.
Just kick it off.
I'm gonna kick this one off. Ex Machina is a movie I've seen twice. The first time I didn't like. The second time we saw it when they just did the re-release then, and I appreciated it a lot more than I did the first time. But the other one is Mad Max. And Fury Road is awesome and incredible. And I just love Fury Road so much. And having also now seen Furiosa, I am definitely like, oh, this is why Fury Road works. So, because I did not like Furiosa. So, yeah, I am going to vote for Fury Road. Marisol, I know where you're going with this one. So.
Oh, you know me, okay? You know me. Why do I need to talk? All right.
I just figured because there's three people where it might be tough, and I know that you and I were the two where it's not really. This one's not hard.
That's fair. That just means that we're friends, and that means that yes, I did. God help me. Let the record show. God help me. I keep trying with Fury Road. I keep trying. I keep rewatching this movie. I like it. I like Fury Road. I like it. I watched for the first time. I actually went after I saw Furiosa. I went and did a sweep of all the Mad Max movies. And Road Warrior is the shit. That's the best one. That's the best one. That's absolutely the best one. The Mad Max 2 is absolutely the best one. And I like Fury Road. I like the way it just takes that concept blazing into the 21st century, updates it all, just cranks that saturation up to 11 and makes it just pop. That is cool. That is so cool. Furiosa, Charlize is badass. I just will never understand why they just couldn't I didn't look I know there's a probably very, very clear reason why they didn't make a Furiosa movie with her. But we would be only so lucky if we had. No disrespect to Taylor-Joy. But all that aside, I'm definitely voting for Ex Machina because this is just a more full package movie for me. Absolutely the best. Well, Civil War is fantastic, but this is still my favorite Alex Garland movie. I think this is the tightest, most focused, most elegant demonstration of his themes and ideas, because that man's got a ton, especially when it comes to chicks and womandom. And I love that he's fascinated by all those things and likes to explore it. I like him exploring it in relation to the assumptions, the presumptions of the male psyche. I like the way you have then you contrast Alicia Vikander against two different sides of toxic masculinity in very different senses. I find that very, very fascinating. I love using that in a backdrop of such visually striking minimalist sci-fi. I just think that Ex Machina is more full package genre film than Mad Max Fury Road, but I understand that Mad Max is such a major movie for so many people, and I won't take that away about Fury Road. But Ex Machina ticks more for me, and it gives me more to chew on. It gives me more to think about. It has much more emotional depth, and I think it says much more about. It uses its genre to say more with it. And I love fucked up endings.
Taylor?
No.
Not yet.
No, I'm not ready.
Mara?
This is really tough. I enjoy both these movies quite a bit. I love Oscar Isaac playing somebody that is just such a douche. But I really do love what the movie has to say. I love how small and contemplative it is as it's saying it. It's not big, it's not flashy. It is the exact opposite of Mad Max Fury Road. And part of it is also, man, the degree of difficulty making that movie, so many practical stunts and effects. And that man is so fucking old. Like, the fact that he didn't just have a heart attack and die as he was making it, just marvelous. I'm so happy. And he was old then, because obviously I realized the movie is, almost a decade old now. He was still old then. The fact that he's crazy old now is just like wild. Yeah, this is really, really tough. They both do such different things, and putting either one through this bracket would be very, very interesting. I'm very torn. Especially because, man, I didn't even go see Fury Road in the theater because I was like, this movie is all style, no substance. No thanks. So I deeply regret not seeing it on the big screen. I never have. But I would say that I've probably rewatched Ex Machina more, I think. I don't really like this one. I'm not heartbroken that it exists as a decision, but I'm going to be sad for whichever one of these leaves, like very, very sad. This is where it gets difficult. I don't love this choice. But I do think I'm going to pick Mad Max Fury Road, if only because of how absolutely and completely floored I was that movie had anything to say, and that it still managed to make the Doof Warrior have a flaming guitar.
Fair. That is very fair. Adam?
Well, Jacob, I'd like to tell you that because one of these movies was in the IG bracket, I think we can move past it. I really don't think there's much of a conversation to be had about Mad Max Fury Road since we've given it its due. Yeah. No,
honestly, that's a good fucking point.
Yeah, I mean,
in all seriousness,
I'm changing my vote. I'm voting for Ex Machina.
Fair.
I'm serious. I'm changing my vote.
No, that's fair.
See? It can be done.
Fair.
Okay. I started a precedent. Okay, all
right. These are both great movies.
Revolution in this bitch.
Yeah, and these are sci-fi movies from different angles. And I love that they both deal with like toxic masculine rape culture in a lot of ways from completely different perspectives.
Mhm.
You've all spoken so eloquently, and I've gotten to talk so much tonight. I'm going to keep this one brief. And I love Mad Max Fury Road. I think it's pretty damn great. And I'm not going to argue with anyone who is more passionate about it than me, because I think there's an argument to be made. But Ex Machina, without thinking too much about it, I would say is Alex Garland's strongest movie. And it has a lot of rewatch value, as does Mad Max. But I think what we lose sight of with Fury Road so much is because it's so awesome and so cool is those original 3 movies get like forgotten about so much. And Fury Road, to your point, is so it's the Road Warrior with an insane budget. And it's George Miller operating with an entire tool belt that he didn't have back in the 80s. And getting George Miller after the Babe movies to do another Mad Max movie is pretty awesome. I think that's why I think
after the Happy Feet movies,
yeah,
to make another Mad movie.
And I like Furiosa. I think it's a little overwrought in terms of pacing and the way it's structured, but I like it. But I think Fury Road is very efficient and cool. But Ex Machina has a timeless quality with what it's getting at, and I think it's going to continue to bear out as the decades pass. So I'll vote for Ex Machina for the sake of the 2010s bracket.
Well, Taylor?
Well, the pressure's off me, so that's great. Yeah, this one sucks real bad. This one really sucks because I think it's kind of been said best already, but for me, I think Mad Max Fury Road is one of the most beautiful movies I've ever seen. Like, technically it's stunning. Like, the stunt work is amazing. The practical effects are amazing. Like, the editing is incredible. The color palette and the lighting choices, like, all of it is just so visually gorgeous, and it's such a great experience in that way. And I think the acting is amazing. I think the cast, all the way down to the smaller roles, is great. Like, I think Nicholas Hoult kicks ass in this movie. And then you have like Zoe Kravitz, and you have why can't I think of her name? Daisy Jones. What the fuck is her name?
Riley Keough.
Riley Keough. Thank you very much. But even just like some of the smaller roles, like the casting is just so great and so thoughtful. Ex Machina is a movie I've been screaming about since it came out, since like nobody, like the year it came out, and I was like, why doesn't this have Academy Award nominations? Why do we hate things that are amazing? I don't understand what's happening here. So I've been on that train for a very long time. I think the performances are amazing. I think the claustrophobia of it and how effective that is as a character in the story and as a storytelling device, and just how small scale and intimate it is horrifying. Like, it's just done so well in terms of tone. I do think it has a lot to say. I love the way that it ends, where you kind of just have to sit with the implications of what's about to happen, and you have no idea how that's going to turn out. I think it's incredible. I think, listen, the dancing scene, come on. 10 out of 10. I think I still would have voted for Ex Machina, even if like it came down to it mattering what I was going to vote for, just because I have loved that movie for such a long time. And if I was going to pick one to put on to rewatch, it would be Ex Machina. But like, Fury Road is just so technically gorgeous and amazing, but it just doesn't, like, I don't emotionally connect with it the same way that I do Ex Machina. So,
all right. Well, we say goodbye to Mad Max Fury Road, and Ex Machina moves on.
I did not see that coming.
I'm glad we determined as a group that Mad Max Fury Road has no cultural value. We can move on.
Right in the trash. Next.
All right. Round 3, guys. So really
going
quick.
back around.
So we got four quick matchups.
Yep.
Let's do this.
Quick.
Let's blow through this.
All right. The Lighthouse versus Ingrid Goes West. Taylor, I'm going to start with you.
Awesome. Yeah, this one is actually tough for me because I like Ingrid Goes West more, but I think about The Lighthouse more. Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but I enjoy Ingrid Goes West more, but I think about things from The Lighthouse. Like, it just pops into my head more because of like the technical aspects of it, and like because it's so weird, and because I left going, what the fuck am I supposed to do with any of that? Like, it's just one of those, like, I think I have to vote for it just because, like,
Wow.
it just sticks with me. I don't know.
All right. Mara.
See, it's so funny because I feel like in this matchup, I'm so tempted to vote for Ingrid Goes West because I'm tempted. I really, really am. But I do think I have to stick with what my basis was for how technically immaculate the filmmaking of The Lighthouse is. I don't know why. I really want to vote for Ingrid Goes West though, because it's just so great. But I'm going to stick to my guns and I'm going to vote for The Lighthouse.
Well, Adam, I will. Given it's already got its 2, I'll give you the one that gets it over the line. I'm assuming.
The reason why I'm voting for Ghostbusters Afterlife. Just doing that to get a reaction out of my girlfriend. All right, no.
It's a fact.
Okay. Let's not. Sorry. That's on me. That's on me.
This is a
All right.
Frozen Empire. I kicked you.
You know what? Another great like double feature now that I think about it. Just thinking about these same sex like toxic friendship situations. Really, really dig it. But I said as much earlier. Lighthouse is definitively one of my favorite films of the 21st century thus far. Without exaggeration, easily in my top 20 of the century so far. Like, I love it. So I think Ingrid Goes West is so cool and thoughtful and funny and subversive, and the performances are great. And I'll probably watch it again, but I'm never going to see it as many times as I've already seen The Lighthouse. So I have to vote for The Lighthouse.
Marisol?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm all for like splitting the votes and everything, and being chaotic and catty and passive aggressive, bitter, but I am gonna vote for The Lighthouse. We've sang the praises of Ingrid Goes West. I think this is a phenomenal run that it's been on. I really do. And it totally deserves to get to this point. I just think The Lighthouse, the way that it grew, that it jumped that much for me on a rewatch, I'm so enticed to see how much it grows just watching it again. It is just such a weird, wonderful, hypnotic movie in just all these unparalleled senses, and for it to be such a, I think, a wide success. I think like a publicly, it's not like a underground, untalked about little indie. It's not like kind of more in line with that movie Divinity that you were talking about last year.
No one saw that.
Right. No, exactly. Like
Yeah.
The Lighthouse would be something like Divinity. But the fact that Lighthouse is just like in the forefront, it's mainstream. And it's such a period piece and a stylized piece, and so odd and so weird in all these ways that could hook me in and is enticing. It gives me more kind of giddy thrills. Just it edges out Ingrid Goes West for me, so I'm going to vote for it.
I just teach. I had one thing I wanted to add. One reason I love The Lighthouse, and I probably said this before, is it feels like a movie that if Willem Dafoe and Robert Pattinson weren't in it, I feel like we could have discovered it from some random decade, like in like a film archive. And that's what I love about The Lighthouse. It does feel like it's outside of where we are right now.
Yes.
And that's special. That's really hard to achieve and make it feel natural.
All right. Well, with that, The Lighthouse joins the final 32.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Not all is lost.
Sorry, Midsommar, but there you go. All right.
Next up, Interstellar versus Pacific Rim.
I'm
Taylor.
gonna go first so that I can sit here and be mad for the rest of the thing. All right, we're just gonna do that and get it over with. Pacific Rim, please, and thank you. Good night, everybody. God.
Mara.
I don't like this one. I don't. I assign a great deal of value that Interstellar exists in the realm of cinema. Because again, it did a job of a scientist. The film as a non-sentient entity performed the job of a scientist. I love Pacific Rim though. Pacific Rim brings me like all of joy, like the encompassingment of joy. I don't get angry at it. But I'm gonna vote for Interstellar because I do think that the fact that they created a visual representation of Gargantua, again, communicating the science in a way that doesn't make a viewer feel stupid if they don't already know it, but makes it really digestible. And Kip Thorne is a fucking badass. Yes, it would be awkward if we met. Yeah, I'm gonna vote for Interstellar. That's how much I love the science.
Marisol.
It's amazing how much a difference a round makes. You know, it's wild how much movies, how much they compare, like how much the comparative game changes. Mama absolutely voted for Interstellar in the last round over Prisoners. And Mama absolutely voted against Pacific Rim last time against Scott Pilgrim versus the World. My baby. Rest in peace. My baby. Mama is definitely gonna vote for Pacific Rim this time around, though. Like joy, like for the win. Like Pacific Rim makes me so happy. It makes me so happy. And when we're directly comparing these two movies side by side, there's a lot of good stuff to chew on in Interstellar. There's a lot to admire. But when we just talk about comparing, like just the sheer, rock'em sock'em bots mashing kaiju joys of Pacific Rim and the spiritedness of it all and the Idris Elba of it all, I'm definitely going to vote for Pacific Rim.
Adam.
Remember when Matthew McConaughey and Idris Elba were in a movie together and it wasn't cool?
Oh,
why? How did that happen? And it was
I
a
forgot about Dark Tower
and it
until
was a
just
Stephen
now.
King adaptation. and they forgot about that movie so hard that they're just
Oh.
letting Mike Flanagan just remake it as a series, and that's cool because
Yeah, they lemony they series of unfortunate events the shit out of that.
that Dark Tower movie is so like it's such a hollow experience. Yeah,
But
good
what
Lord.
isn't a hollow experience?
It isn't the Dark Tower, the movie, not the book.
Okay.
I'm again. I have. You have indulged me. You have let me speak ad nauseum about so many films, and I'm gonna reserve my words for maybe one more matchup this evening. I've spoken extensively about both of these tonight, and I am going to lean towards Pacific Rim myself. I think it's got more meat on the bone. I've rewatched both of these a comparable amount, and I remember the difference is I went into Interstellar wanting to love it, and I walked away trying to love it, and I went into Pacific Rim having no expectation, and I walked away loving it. And Interstellar is still an acquired taste. Mara, I agree. I love the scientific concepts that are tackled in the film. I think that's all really interesting. But he just doesn't quite line it up with the the emotional arcs in the story. He's trying to let that all be handled by Matthew McConaughey, and Matthew's doing his job. But Pacific Rim's more fun for me. And yeah, there you go. All right, let's go. Let's move on.
All right.
Hey.
Thank you, Adam, because you saved me from having to sleep on the couch tonight.
Taylor, hit him right now.
Because I like, again, I'm not massive on either of these movies, but I would have gone Interstellar.
Well, too bad the kaijus just took out Christopher Nolan. All right,
with that,
he's gone.
Pacific Rim does make it through to the next round. All right. Brooklyn versus Mission Impossible Rogue Nation.
I can just vote for
Yeah,
Mission
you
Impossible
got-
Rogue
you got-
Nation.
I'm gonna let
Done.
you guys handle this one.
All right.
I'll go last. Whatever the panel wants on this one.
Jacob.
I'm not gonna get in the middle of this.
So this one's hurt. This one's really painful for me.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I love Brooklyn
Welcome to
so
my
much.
pocket.
I love Brooklyn so much, but I rewatch Rogue Nation way too often for me not to vote for it. So I'm gonna go with Rogue Nation and cry when I'm part of the reason why Brooklyn died. Taylor.
Yeah, I'm voting for Brooklyn. But this matchup is wild,
It
actually.
is. Adam.
Wait, where are we at? What's
So Rogue Nation's at 2, Brooklyn's at 1.
Don't you dare.
what?
Don't you dare make me decide.
Look,
I see you.
I'm not trying to be a petty hoe, but
But
Income petty hodum.
I can be a petty hoe sometimes. Yeah. All right.
I'll be a petty hoe. Go be a petty hoe. Go be a petty hoe. Yourself out. Just remember, the North remembers. Okay.
I vote for Brooklyn.
Oh, all right. Marisol, deciding vote.
What the hell is this? Okay. I specifically asked not for this. Okay. I was like, decide, handle this. Okay.
No.
Uh,
I'm surprised this is so hard for you based on where this Mission Impossible movie ranks for you.
No, I know.
I just think it's funny. Like how it's like, oh, like everyone's like, oh, maybe not. And then it goes up against something you're like, actually.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. It gets different when we're getting into these, like, okay, this is now going into like the final round. And when you then looking at these and next different two movies together, I'm like, oh, look, I'll keep the drama. I'll skip all the drama. Look, we still got Mama's favorite Mission Impossible movie left in this bracket. So I'm going to hold out for that one, and I'm going to vote for Brooklyn here. I'm going to vote for Brooklyn. I'm going to hold out. Go Protocol, baby. I'm going to hold out for it.
We say goodbye to Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, and Brooklyn has made it through.
No.
Yeah, it will be. Okay. All right. Last up.
Last one.
12 Years a Slave versus Ex Machina.
All right, I'll go first.
Yep.
Because I haven't seen 12 Years a Slave. I am easily going to vote for Ex Machina. No offense to 12 Years a Slave. I just have not. It's one of the ones I haven't gotten around to. So.
I'm sleeping on the couch. I'm going to go with, again, Ex Machina doesn't hit me the same way, although when you guys were talking about it before, I was like, yeah, it does. Yeah,
it does do that.
It does do that. Yeah, it does. God damn it. I should have voted for Ex Machina instead of Mad Max. But this is 12 Years a Slave. There's the the scene where he comes home hits in a way that nothing your Next Machina does for me. So I like that alone is just so fucking powerful, where he's apologizing for what he's been through. Like, is just 12 Years a Slave. Mara?
Okay. Okay. So I could get into it. I could, but we've been here a while. Justice for a Separation. I'm voting for Ex Machina.
Okay.
Also, I do fucking love the movie, and I like the idea of watching something that did not have its own feelings, learn how to be self-aware and have its own feelings, as a person that does not like to outwardly emote sincere feelings because it makes me viscerally uncomfortable. So I find a lot of common ground with that type of neurodivergence.
Marisol.
Oh. Well, these are actually personal movies for me. Yeah. So this I'm gonna do, as you've heard me talk about it. I do love both of these movies for very different reasons. Ugh. You know, as much as I love the power of fiction, as much as I love the power of fiction and the implications, the power of ideas behind really, really well done fiction, especially genre fiction. Jacob, you hit the nail on the head. You reminded me, like the power of fact, like the power of realities, like are just staggering. And when he comes home to his family, like what that means. I went and saw 12 Years a Slave 3 times in theaters, and because it pulled something out of me and pulled tears and painful tears out of me that I don't think I've ever had going to go see a film. And I am going to vote for 12 Years a Slave.
Adam, deciding vote.
I'm tired. Tired, Jacob. Yeah. All right. Now, at the risk of sounding a little dumb, just for clarification, Steve McQueen's British, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I was gonna say I thought so, because like one thing I remember, like the first time I saw this, like I remember I remember thinking, like, this is not an American filmmaker, and yet this feels like the most like honest portrayal of this time period I've seen in a long time. It's not to say like we haven't seen depictions of that era that aren't meaningful and have something to say, but 12 Years a Slave doesn't linger in the snuffier aspects of those kind of movies, to put it as bluntly as I could, and yet the moments that are upsetting and awful hit on an emotional level for me more than a traumatic. We could do a whole like separate conversation just about 12 Years a Slave and Ex Machina, to be honest. Like these movies both deal with trauma, and they both deal with being a slave. This is another incidental matchup that, honestly, if I had more gas in the tank, I think we could have like a whole discussion about both of these films.
Interesting parallel you drew there too. I didn't really think about it like that.
it's tough. It really is, especially at this point in the evening. That's East Coast, mind you. Yeah, let's not lose sight of that, Jacob. And I know you're still on Australia time, so like nothing matters to you anymore. But also, let's the fact that Brad Pitt was an executive producer, showed up in the movie as the good white guy, and didn't ruin it or distract me. That's not a very like articulate way to put it, but I'm just being honest. I was really impressed by the fact that he didn't ruin the movie with his like good guy appearance.
I know what you mean. You were distracted that Brad Pitt.
I was like,
oh,
is he gonna be like the hero? I'm like, no, he's just around. He's just there, not sucking like the rest of them. Completely irrelevant, but does it matter? Did anyone else ever like make the connection between Bruce Wayne's fuck pad from Batman v Superman and the Ex Machina mansion? Because I feel like they're the same place.
Oh yeah. Oh, now that's a conversation. Hold on.
They had the same real estate agent for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
It's really, really tough to pick because I think these are both really strong movies of the decade. But I'll say 12 Years a Slave. I will. I have to. That movie just really sticks with me.
Okay.
All right.
Tough man.
100% on the couch.
Go on the couch, you son of a bitch.
All right. Well, with that, we say goodbye to Ex Machina, and 12 Years a Slave does move on into the final 32. So, The Lighthouse, Pacific Rim, Brooklyn, and 12 Years a Slave have all made it through to the final 32.
That's wild.
That is a wild representation of different genres.
It is.
Yes.
It is.
All right. What do we got next week?
Next week, we have Get Out versus Train to Busan. Gravity versus the Peanut Butter Falcon. Happy Death Day versus Kong Skull Island. The Martian versus The Revenant. Shame versus Vox Lux. Mud versus Winter's Bone.
That's not fair.
The Cabin in the Woods versus The Perks of Being a Wallflower. Kill Me Now.
Yeah, that's your
The Spectacular Now versus Us.
Interesting.
That is something.
I want to thank my entire panel for being here. Adam, Marisol, where can they find you guys online?
Champs on Film eventually. Keep watching our archived content. The classics, as we call them. No, we'll get back to it eventually, right?
Yeah.
But we're here in the meantime. Honestly, this bracket show, like once the bracket show is done, I might have some energy to get back into some original content again. But
yeah,
you have sapped my soul, sir.
I apologize. Mara, I know you don't have much of an online presence right now.
I'm currently in a cave, but I'm summoning the other cat. Bubba, come here. Surround, come here. Yes, come here.
Yes.
Good boy. Good boy. Can I get a head bump? No? Hand bump? All right. Come on, head bump. Okay, fine. Fuck off. They just want food because normally they've already been fed by now, so they're feeling sassy. Yeah. Also, Jayla is the cat from that meme, the fuzzy tuxedo cat, where it's like, I decided to see how much my parents loved me, and they spent $2,000, and all I had to do was poop or something, because we had a little week of trouble with Jayla where we were very worried about her health, and it turns out there's nothing fucking wrong in her. She's absolutely perfect in every single way, and she may have just had a tummy ache. So yeah, she was testing us. But yeah.
Fair. Taylor?
Yes. You basically just find me here.
Maybe in a wanted ad somewhere. If later tonight, assuming I'm being murdered.
No, if you didn't end up dead after the last show, I think you're pretty.
I'll give you that.
I think you're pretty safe.
Also, Taylor, be really easy to like use heat stroke as an excuse this time of year. You could totally
Yeah, I've got
like,
I
throw
got
him on the
plenty.
sidewalk
Oh
somewhere.
no,
Yeah.
he got locked out of the house. Oh.
He dried up like a husk.
Sad thing is, she could do that now because we have the smart lock. So
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. If you survived the last bracket show, I think you're probably gonna survive from now on. Yes, you can find me here on this goddamn show. For some reason, I keep coming back. You can find me on Letterboxd, where I've been watching a bunch of movies and stuff. Recently got to see Pride and Prejudice in a theater, the 2005 version. It was magical. The session was literally sold out, full of people having the best time ever. So that was magical. You can catch what I'm watching on Letterboxd at Finally Tailored. I'm on Twitter as usual, just whatever bullshit's going on there. I've been tweeting about the Olympics a lot, which has been super fun with everyone. The patriotism will slowly leave my body now that it's over. Just stay in long enough to vote in the election and then leave completely, probably.
then be gone.
And then be gone because I can't, because I need to detox for a while after all the patriotism has ravaged my body. Yeah, that's pretty much what I got going on at the moment.
Yeah.
Trying to survive the heat.
Yeah.
Trying to plan a wedding. You know how it goes.
You guys can find me pretty much everywhere at Jacob London. Pretty much doing all the exact same. And I'm on Notorious by Chance on Tuesdays, talking NFL starting this week. So catch us there on Tuesday nights. But till next week, guys, thank you so much. The chaos will continue next week. Until then, thank you so much. Bye.